I watched Queen. The Warrior Queen and I both watched Queen. And she's not awake right now to do the movie review, so here I am. With the kangaroo. Come on, give it up for the hat. Queen. So here's kind of the synopsis of the film, I think. You have an arranged marriage taking place in India. Daughter, fairly traditional Indian family. They're very excited. They're making arrangements for the wedding. Her father, who owns looks like a candy store, ice cream store, kind of a confectionery, is paying for this, and you see the decorations and the family, and everybody's very excited about it. They're going to get married. She's going to marry. And, you know, everybody's into it. Her little brother, Chintu, is into it. Everybody's so excited. Just such a great time. And she receives a phone call for the groom-to-be, the husband-to-be. And she's giddy and says, you know, this is bad luck. You shouldn't be calling me. And he's like, we're not getting married. I'm calling off the wedding. No, I'm sorry. They meet at a coffee store. That's what they go. He takes her to a Starbucks or something, the Indian version of Starbucks, a chai latte store, and breaks up with her and does it in public, which of course is the cowardly thing because she's going to be inhibited of lashing out and crying and whatnot. And he keeps reminding her, we're in public. And she's devastated, and she comes home, she's devastated, and her family's devastated, and she locks herself in the room, and people are trying to console her and get her to, you know, come out of the shell, come out, if you will, from her despair. And while she's there, I mean, we see the whole family. Grandma, Chintu is my favorite character, by the way. I love that kid. Chintu, you know, mom, dad, you know, friends calling, trying to get her out, trying to, you know, and grandma is a great character in this because she's very practical with the wisdom. You know, this could be the best thing that ever happened to you. You don't know that. It could be. So go out there and seize the day, basically. So she says, you know what, we were going to honeymoon in Europe, and I want to go on my honeymoon. And everybody's like, what? You're not getting married? No, I need to go on my honeymoon. And Dad says, do you really want to go? She says, yes. He says, is this necessary? She says, yes. But I respect your opinion. If you don't want me to go, I won't go. He says, okay, go, but you know, you're going to call, you're going to do all these things. Very protective. And I thought this was a great look, especially from the Western point of view of Indian life. Family's very much tied into everything that goes on, and I love that because I didn't have that growing up. I was a whatever. I'm going to start personal vlogs on Revolver. You guys can go listen to me cry over there. And so she goes to Europe, and I don't know if she's ever been out of her village. You know what I mean? Out of her city. And she goes to Europe, and she goes to Paris, and she looks very awkward. You know, moving around, she looks completely like a foreigner. She looks like she doesn't fit in. She's casual because she's now, you know, wearing like an Indian top with blue jeans, and looks like she just literally came off the boat. Like, here you are, and while she's there, you know, she doesn't speak any French, and she's asking for directions, and it was done so well that, you know, that you could completely relate. Like, you could say, oh yeah, that would have been me. Like, if I went to France, I would have been the same way. I would have stuck out like the American, trying to say, parlez-vous français? Donde es, oh wait, that's Spanish. Namaste mir, oh wait, no, that's Hindi. Like, I would have been completely lost in that, and you could totally empathize with her. And I thought this film did a great job getting us to empathize with Queen Rani. Rani. And so she gets into the hotel, And she kind of unpacks, and she's just sitting there, and she hears something next door. And she's afraid somebody is getting murdered or something. And it's another girl who is part Indian. And I think she's, you know, dad was Indian, but mom was, you know, several things European. And they're trying to make love next door. And the woman next door makes a comment about the guy's thingy being small and cute, and he's offended by it, and he storms out. And she's upset because it was break time, and she was sneaking into a room, which she's not allowed to do. And you know, she wanted to have her fleshy desires satiated. And she goes out on the balcony, and Ronnie's out on the balcony, and this girl says to Ronnie, "Enjoy the show." She's like, "Oh, what?" And quickly they start to connect and bond. And so we then get this experience of Ronnie trying to go see Europe on her own, wanting to at least have this portion of her future plan come true. And this character that she met from the hotel begins to take a more important role in her life. And she is very westernized. She is very, you know, shows a lot of midsection and thigh in her dress, is a little bit on the wild side, is a single mom. And Ronnie is like, there's no father? Like, how is this? Doesn't seem to be, you know, appropriate. And you really start to get this feel of East meets West of really, I think Ronnie becomes the plight of the modern Indian woman as India becomes westernized and modernized as an entire nation. I understand that there are aspects of India that already are. And so we see her kind of, you know, what started off as this is where I got to stay in, as she comes across Western mores, begins to push out, and now she has a much bigger view of how to maneuver and operate. And they decide to go to a nightclub. Ronnie goes to a nightclub, and you walk in, and they're doing shots, and there's, you know, just all kinds of stuff. A typical nightclub. And Ronnie's never experienced this, and Ronnie gets drunk. Ronnie gets drunk, and her friend shows up, and this is really the bonding moment for her and her friend, because she just breaks down. She breaks down about what has happened, and her friend's there, and they basically spend the night, her friend listening. And sometimes that's all we need, really, as a people. It's a good cry. Get it off your chest. Gets it off the chest. They have a good time. She says, "You need to go to Amsterdam. You know, take this package to my friend in Amsterdam. She's a good girl. If you have any problems, call her." So she goes to deliver this package. Well, first she gets to Amsterdam, and she stays at a hostel, which is different than a hotel, because you're sharing a room, and it's 3 dudes. And she's very freaked out by that because of her background. You know, it's scandalous. Back home, that would be scandalous. And a friendship, you know, kind of happens between, well, it does happen with a Russian guy, an African guy, and a Japanese guy. And their lives begin to get intertwined. And during this time, the husband who dropped her off realizes he's made a huge mistake. He's kind of a disgrace. His family's all over him, and he wants her back. And so he is going to Paris looking for her. He shows up in Amsterdam looking. He's looking everywhere for her, and he finally meets up with her, and he's trying his best to talk his way back. He is trying his best, and she said, "Well, we can't do it now, but when we get back to, I think it was Mumbai. We get back to Mumbai, I'll come by and we'll talk about it." She begins to give him the dose that he got, that she gave her, right? That he gave her. And on a personal note, it reminded me of how I met the Warrior Queen. Okay? And just indulge me, please. I was 19. I was young. I had a full head of hair. I had a nice mullet. Not super long mullet. Just kind of down to here, shaved in the sides, nice spike going. very dashing. And the warrior queen was 18, wearing little short skirts, black nylons all the times, and flats. She looked like something from a Benetton ad. I looked at her and said, hello. And there was a girl that was a mutual friend that I went on a date with, but she was crazy. She was cray-cray. And I asked about the warrior queen. She said, oh, she's going to get married to some guy in the Navy. Oh, well, the guy in the Navy treated her very poorly, right? And this is a lesson to you, fellas. Treated her very, very poorly, which means I can separate her from the herd, right, of women. If you're not going to treat your woman kind and loving, very easy to... I put on the professor charm. We went out on dates, and it was love at first sight. It was love at first sight. It was, well, I can't talk about it. We got to keep this a PG show. And so this has happened with Ronnie. Ronnie is really able to deal with this. She has an interest in an older Italian guy. Why? I don't know, but she does. She likes this older Italian guy, and we see them kiss, her first lip-to-lip kiss, and she's like, which was comical. She comes back home, and she breaks up with the dude and just devastates him, which was awesome. And, you know, and then she kind of returns home, but when she comes home, she is completely different. You can tell she's different. She's got a confidence about her from what was kind of meek and mild is now, I am woman, hear me roar, right? So you see that transformation of her. This is a Bollywood Top 100. This was a great film. Ronnie, the actress who portrayed her, she was mixed up with Ritik, if I got this right, and I believe her, dude. I watched that Ritik Arnab interview and went, liar, 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 pants on fire. Like, dude, get out of here. Like, who you kidding, dude? Nobody's buying this. I thought she did a phenomenal job. It was great acting. It was a great performance. I love the music of it. Matter of fact, this Saturday, tomorrow, when we do All India All Day, I am going to play the soundtrack, the jukebox, from the movie. The music was great. There was a song that played where Ronnie's outside with her friend at the nightclub, and she is, you know, kind of lamenting and whatnot, and she hears a remix of a Bollywood song, and she said, "Oh, you have Bollywood here?" And she runs in and just starts, you know, dancing. And again, proving my point: Indians can dance. Why can they dance? They invented the Kama Sutra. They know movement. And she was in there dancing, and I mean, it was just phenomenal. It was a phenomenal scene. It was great stuff. And along the way, we met other characters, and we saw people who make decisions and live their lives. Because I think what this film is about is you know, walk a mile in somebody else's shoes before you judge them. I think that was kind of the main point of this, because we learned all kinds of lessons and how people deal with these things. We learned about Tonka. Why is he such a weird little Japanese dude? He lost everything in the tsunami, and he carries a picture of his parents, and you see him at night kissing them, and it was so sad. It was so sad. Sorry. We see the Indian girl in Amsterdam who's a prostitute, and Ronnie's like, "But you're a prostitute," and she's like, "But it's legal here, and I'm able to send money home. Money's money. I'm able to pay for my sister's wedding. I'm able to pay for my brothers and sisters to go to college." You know, and you saw her friend in Paris, a single mom trying to do the best she can. And, you know, and I think it strikes a balance between personal responsibility and just life choices. And sometimes things don't work out. And before, you know, you drop the hammer on somebody, consider it. Consider what they've been through. And I also thought, too, one of the things that I kind of with is Adversity is okay. Adversity is okay. It is the crucible in which we are changed to something better, something more. For instance, you take metal, you take silver. When they mine silver, it's filled with impurities. And what do? They put it through a crucible. They heat it up. The impurities come to the top, and then they get a little scoop thing, and they scoop out the impurities, and they keep doing it over and over until it is pure silver. Adversity is the same way in our life. It does the exact same thing to us. So when you find yourself in a hard situation, don't let it destroy you. Take heart. You are in the crucible of life, and you will come out purer and better than before. This movie is an A+. You have to go see it. If you haven't seen it, you're a loser. And I'm joking. You're not a loser. Maybe you are, but I don't know that. How would I don't know that? But this was a great film. I enjoyed it, and I go check it out. Peace and much love.